In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use the Detect Speakers and Transcript plugin for the Butter text analysis software. What this plugin will do is allow us to go through a bunch of transcript files and detect the different speaker tags that are being used for all the different people in the transcripts. This is really useful for setting up a list of speaker tags for the Conversation Splitter plugin, or if we just want to see and make sure that we have accurate speaker tags across a number of transcripts. So for this example, I'm going to be using a subset of the Cornell movie corpus. And in this folder, I just have a bunch of txt files. And each one of these contains a transcript from a different movie. Now what the Detect Speakers plugin will do is go through and help us build a list of all these different speaker tags that are being used across all of the files. So this is useful in cases where we know that we want to separate the text by each speaker, but we don't need to, or I should say we don't want to go through and manually build a list of every single speaker tag across every single file that we have. This can also be really useful just to make sure that everything is consistent. So a lot of times when people are making transcript files, even from carefully collected data from a lab, you might be using speaker tags like P1 and P2, P3, and so on, just to identify the different speakers. And what can happen a lot of times is somebody might accidentally mistype one of the speaker tags. So using something like P22 instead of just P2, something like that. Something that's kind of hard to catch unless you're really paying close attention and closely reviewing all of your transcripts. But when we go and then try to separate out all the text by each person, this is going to be treated as a different person because it's a typo. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this plugin works. So first thing we'll do is we'll just load up our transcripts from these txt files that I have. Of course, it doesn't have to be txt files, it depends on your own specific data set. And then we'll go ahead and attach the Detect Speakers plugin. And let's look at the settings for this plugin. Now there are a few key things here. The first is the speaker tag delimiter. So you notice if we go back to our transcript that the speaker tags are always delimited from the text by a colon and a space. So it's not just a colon, because then the text would be butted right up against the speaker tag. We always have the colon and the space. And so here we see that we have both the colon and a space after it. So this is going to be used to help detect these breaks between who the speaker tag is and then what they're actually saying. Now the max speaker tag length is really important. So this means that we're saying a speaker tag can only be 20 characters long, or you can turn this up or down depending on your data set. But this is really important because this colon space combination could really technically appear anywhere on a line of text. So you can imagine having a transcript that says something like this. Cameron says, "Forget it. I have one thing to say to you. Go away." So here, if we're using the Detect Speaker plugin, it'll go through and identify, oh, here's a colon and a space. We know who the speaker is and what the text is, and it'll do the same thing on each line. But when we get down to this line, we see that there's a colon and a space, but then there's another colon and a space down here. So it's very easy to make a mistake. What this option does, the max speaker tag length, means that if this combination appears anywhere after this, that means we should just ignore it. So because this occurs within the first 20 characters of the line, we'll go ahead and use this to decide where to split the speaker tag from the text. And it'll completely ignore this because this is way further down in the text than the first 20 characters of a line. Now, Regex Removal, this is something that's also covered in the Conversation Splitter plugin tutorial video. This can be used when we have a transcript that has a bunch of non-standard text across all the speaker tags. So this is something that pops up a lot of times when you're using instant messaging data or other kind of SMS data where you have timestamps, for example, as a part of the speaker tag. So let's say that we have something like this. And we'll just ignore these lines here. So here, we can still use the colon and space to delimit the speaker tag from the actual text, but these are all going to be treated as separate speakers, even if these all were Walter speaking. That's because this speaker tag is not the same as this one, and it's also not the same as this one. Now, regular expression is essentially a pattern recognition engine. It can get a bit complicated, so I won't go into too much detail in this tutorial. Just know that there are a lot of internet resources to help you understand regular expressions and how you can use them here. So for example, if we wanted to remove this pattern, whoops, this is looking for opening and closing parentheses that have this pattern, digit, digit, colon, digit, digit, colon, digit, digit, colon. So what this option will do is it will replace anything that matches that pattern on a line-by-line basis. So it would go in and strip that, and then strip that, and then strip that, so that we can have more uniform detection of speaker tags across all the different lines of text within each transcript. Now luckily our transcript files in this case are very clean and standard, so we don't have to worry about that here. Now output only unique speaker tags. So what this means is that it will only aggregate unique speaker tags across all of the different texts. So if we have multiple Walters across several text files, it's only going to use this speaker tag once in the output that we generate. Depending on what you want to do with these speaker tags, you may or may not want to have this option checked. For now, we'll just leave it unchecked. You can also try checking it and see how that changes your output to get a sense of what's going on. Now here, we'll attach the Save Output to CSV plugin. And we'll go ahead and save this, and we'll call it Speaker List. So this is going to save an output file that contains a list of all of our speaker tags. Let's go ahead and run this just to see what this looks like. That was very quick. So here we can see, let's go ahead and sort this, that we have the text and then the speaker tag for each text. So we can go through and see every single speaker across every single file. And you can see that in this case, because the speaker tags were very consistent in their formatting, that does a really good job of detecting all of these different speaker tags across these different files. Now it looks like there might be a couple of mistakes here, so this is something that we could also go and try to identify what exactly the pattern is here that was a mistake, or even just go and make sure that our transcripts are properly formatted for how we want to identify speakers. But that's it. That's how we use the Detect Speakers and Transcript plugin for Butter.